With our first hole created, we want to do one more thing to it before we move on to actually writing some code. So this is a very important step in that you are going to need to do this for every single hole that we make in this course, in this project. Now, this part won't always be a separate step. I'm going to remind you to do this in the same step as we do as we do each hole, but I wanted to make the first one its own step so that you could get familiar with the process, since you'll have to do it 9 times throughout the course of the month. So let's go ahead and move our camera in the scene view again by right-clicking in there and using WASD to get a good look at where we want our players to start. Typically, we're going to want to start at the opposite side of our hole. Again, this isn't something that is up to you, so you can really have your players start at any point along a hole. Do as you will, but keep in mind that we're going to be using your start positions for your holes when you submit for the contest. So try to keep that in mind if you can. But what we want to do is go into our hole game object, We're going to right-click on this hole, and we're going to create an empty game object. So it's going to say create empty right here. And we click on that, and then we're going to duplicate that object 2 times. So we're going to select the game object, press Control or Command D to create 1 duplicate, and then we're going to create 2 more. The first one, we want to go ahead and click on this little box icon here next to our object's name, and we're going to give it a blue icon. We're going to click on the box icon for the second one and give it a green icon, and then the box icon for the last one and give it a red icon. Then we're going to hold the Shift key and select the top and bottom object, and that's going to make sure we select all 3, and we're going to use the green arrow to drag this up above our playing ground. We want to make sure that these objects are above our course here. We don't want them to be in the course at all. So as you drag them up, you may want to position your camera kind of even with the ground so you can make sure that there is a gap. That's probably good there. And then what we want to do is spread these guys out from left to right. So these are going to be the starting positions for each of our players. So let's go ahead and grab the top one and move it over to the left. We want to make sure we give a good amount of space. And then we're going to grab the bottom one and move that one over to the right. So now we've got our 3 player starting positions laid out. And now we're going to name these guys. So we want to name them according to their color. So we're going to select the first one. That should be your blue one. And we're just going to name this blue. The middle one is our green one. We're going to name that green. And then the red one is our red one. So or the bottom one is our red one. So we're going to name that one red. The last thing that we want to do is create an empty game object called starting positions. So we're going to right click on the green one or whatever one you have in the middle. We're going to hit create empty. And then just like we did with the whole game object, we're going to drag that out of our parent object there. We're going to name this starting positions by clicking up there and typing starting positions. And then we're going to select all 3 of our objects here by holding the Control or Command key and clicking 1 at a time, and then drag it and drop it onto starting positions. And now we have this object that's going to hold each position our player is going to start at, according to their color. And again, remember that we're going to need to do this for every hole we make. So what will probably be the easiest way to do that is when we make hole 2, we can actually just go to hole 1 and copy our starting positions object and paste that into hole 2. But we'll talk about that when we make hole 2. Once you've got these starting positions set up and their names set to blue, green, and red, go ahead and save your scene and move on to the next step.